In this video presentation, we will understand the fourth and the last stanza of the poem If. The fourth is the last stanza. Do not think there are more stanzas coming after this. So, we are finally completing the chapter. Let's try to understand the first two lines. What is the meaning of these two lines? Let's read them before understanding them. The first line goes like, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue. Now, who can talk with crowds? A person who is very famous. And there is one thing which is famous about famous people. The thing that is famous about famous people is that they lose their wisdom. They become arrogant. And then they start acting stupid. They give such statements which do not make sense. So the poet is saying that even if you become very famous, do not lose your wisdom. Do not lose your virtue. What is the meaning of virtue here? Wisdom. Then in the second line, the poet says, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch. The meaning of this, a person who can walk with kings, a person who will walk with kings is obviously a powerful person or a super rich person, a wealthy person. So the poet is saying that even if you become powerful, even if you become rich, do not lose your common touch. Now what is the meaning of common touch? Common touch means your roots. Do not forget where you came from. Do not belittle the common people. Do not become obsessed with your power. Just act like an ordinary person in regular times. Do not try to think that you are powerful all the time. Just do not forget your roots. Why? Because your roots are the source of your creativity. Your roots are the source of your ideas. So do not lose your roots. Then the poet says, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you. What is the meaning of these lines? It simply means that do not give your emotional control. Do not give your emotional control to anybody else. Control your own emotions. Do not let your foes hurt you. Do not let your friends hurt you. It means that you should have complete control of your emotions, even if your foes, your enemies. What is the meaning of foes? Foes means enemies. So even if your enemies say anything against you, even if your friends say anything against you, you should not be hurt. You should be able to know yourself. You should be able to control your emotions. So the poet is saying, be emotionally mature. Do not let your enemies or your friends hurt you. If, next line I'll read, if all men count with you but none too much. What is the meaning of this line? This means that value everyone and let them depend on you, and you should also depend on them, but none too much. Do not let anybody depend on you so much that it becomes uncomfortable for you, and do not depend on anybody so much that if they leave you, you get shattered. If they leave you, you lose all control of your life. Do not be dependent on anybody at such an extent. The poet is saying that value everyone. There is nothing wrong in respecting everyone. There is nothing wrong in giving importance to everyone. Value everyone, but do not value anyone beyond yourself. Do not think that somebody is so important that if that person goes away from your life, then your life doesn't mean anything, or if that person goes away from your life, you won't be able to achieve your dreams. Do not be dependent on anyone to such an extent. Then in the next line, the poet says, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth distance run. What is the meaning of unforgiving? Time never returns. Time never forgives you. Time never returns. If you have wasted your time, it will not come back. Okay. Right now also, if you are wasting your time, it will not come back. It will not forgive you. So the poet is saying that time never returns. So do not waste any single moment of your time. Do not waste even a single moment. Consume it in doing something. If you don't have anything to do, start running. Go for a jogging. Do something which might give you result in a longer run. okay, which might not result in success instantly, which might give benefit to you after years. For example, jogging is not an activity which will give you results immediately, but after 3 or 4 years of jogging you will realize that you have maintained yourself well. So how is that happening? Because you filled the unforgiving minute with something useful. So the poet is saying that even if you don't have anything to do right now, go and find something. Do something which might not be fruitful right now, which might result in something great later on. And then at last the poet concludes the poem with these two lines. He says that if you can do all these things now, if every stanza of this poem began with if, almost every line. So the poet was putting conditions that if you can do that, if you can do this, then what will happen? Then the poet gives the answer that if you can do all these things, if you can keep your calm, if you can lead well, if you can consume your time efficiently, if you can control your mind, if you can keep your virtue, if you do all these things, yours is the earth. It means that you will win over the earth. Now what is the meaning of earth here? It does not mean the planet. It means that all the success on this planet is yours. You can achieve anything on this planet and everything that's in it, and every pleasure that you want in your life, any achievement that you want to accomplish, everything you will be able to do. And which more is, you will be a man, my son. It means that you will become a complete individual. Right now you are not a complete individual, you are becoming a complete individual. So the poet is saying if you do all these things, if you follow every advice that the poet has given, you will become a complete individual. In this way the poem ends. I think it was helpful. I hope it was helpful. If not, I am just a message away.